question, what if we just stuck a pin in every high school and we would circle around? Would we find new diversities that we don't have? Because so often we have a school that barely sits inside its own boundary. You know, Harding is about as far north in the Harding boundary as you can get for various reasons. And, you know, there were reasons that it's like that given history. But this is a new opportunity for us to take that and say, what difference could we make? Could we include other neighborhoods? But it's up to us to do this student assignment piece so that we can get, because I think diversity, I think everything that you said is absolutely true. It's just in District 4 typically has more students attending school outside of its own district than any other district does. Partly because they have the means to do it. And they have the wherewithal to get in the lotteries and do all that sort of thing. So we've got to get this right if we can do it, and diversity is a bigger issue than we have allowed it to be in the last few years.
So I guess my question is, today, and then when we meet again as a full board on the 26th, how is our agenda structured so that we can begin to have this conversation? Because I think this group and bits and pieces have had snippets of the conversation, but it only works if the entire board is really talking about it and exploring the issue and being thoughtful about it.
Well, I think that I haven't talked with Mr. Johnson, Dr. Johnson. I don't know if he's a doctor or not, but
He is. Yes.
He's at UNC Chapel Hill, and he's about demographics, which I hope will give us an opportunity to get some of that for our district. And I haven't heard what he's going to do, but that's the first thing we're going to deal with for the first hour or so of our visit.
And then the plan is to literally go through, and the focus will be on the guiding principles, which obviously diversity is one piece of that. There may be more time spent on that particular one, if that's the board's desire.
I admit that from a board perspective, when we had that summer of stuff that elected this and all those people came, diversity was a big issue, but it was diversity in so many ways. It wasn't the kind of diversity I thought we were going to be talking about a lot of times. It wasn't just diversity.
Yeah, good, let's define what we're doing.
Well, they weren't talking about racial diversity necessarily or socioeconomic diversity. They wanted mostly the diversity of whatever was the feeder pattern of the school. So they just want to make sure that they got all the kids in the school and in our schools.
I don't understand it.
Well, I couldn't understand it either, but that was what a lot of people said, and it was confusing.
And I think sometimes they're trying to dress up the language and make it pretty, so that it does become confusing, convoluted, because maybe we need to define diversity. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and that's one thing we did talk about at the last meeting is how to define it. We have defined in the past as racial diversity, although in the guiding principles we define it more as EDS percentage diversity, which is certainly fine. Obviously, we presented during the work session the complexity that we now have with free and reduced lines for EDS percentage. There will be some ways that we can work with that, but that has become more complex over the years with CEP and being able to identify and comparing apples to apples that data and information school to school.
Will you be able to give us data points, some comparative data for Wake County, and maybe over the same period of time that you're looking at for us? Because they have done a good job, by and large, of assigning students and not getting into a circumstance where they have such a high preponderance of high poverty schools. And not that we can do everything that they have done, and I recognize they have some different demographics, but
What that different?
yeah, what does it look like? What has it looked like over the last 10 to 15 years? So that we can get a sense and maybe even some benchmarks and notes about discussions they've had about
We can certainly give you some high-level points on Wake County. Their student assignment plan has changed too.
It has,
And their demographics are quite different. Their county is larger for one thing, and just their general
One thing.
organization within their county is different. So,
That's my hometown. One thing they didn't do was talk to persons there. They worked hard not to dismantle what historically was working. And we didn't. So, they fought hard to make sure those places that were working, for instance, John W. Newman High School, right on the mark. It's a magnet school, and, so they had, very intense discussions with, in inner city and places, where they were committed to diversity. They kept that. Their foundation wasn't just totally, well, ended, as we did here. And slowly, over time, more and more so. It will be interesting just from the standpoint of the comparison of how they fought to keep certain foundational aspects to maintain the diversity. I would be interested in it, because I'm just going on community and educator friends in the city. I had lots of discussions.
we'll see what we can do in that period of time, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So as we have moved through our guiding principles and we've talked about a little bit of the structure of the policy and defining attendance areas, for an example, and how those should be constructed, and clearly the guiding principles are the foundation for our attendance areas. Public engagement, public comment, you'll see that frequently throughout the policy, is important as well. And then, the timing of when student assignment changes are brought to the community, the approval and then the implementation of that has been certainly lifted up, and a big part of what the board has done since 2010 since it's been adopted. Again, with B, it kind of gives the exception when there's an overcrowding situation, and we've done that one time in recent memory, and that was with Torrance Creek. We actually assigned ahead of time students to Long Creek, and that assignment was made in May. There was about 100 students in that particular change, but that has been the only time that I can recall the board has approved a staff recommended boundary change that late in the process.
How did that go?
That went well because it was actually part of an already approved plan, and we basically just took a part of that approved plan to the next year and implemented it early. We talked a little bit about how we determine students' residence, define a student, a minor student, and domicile. This obviously comes up quite a bit in the student placement work. And we go to great lengths to ensure that every student is living exactly where they say they're living. And follow up on complaints, and so this is our guiding work when we do that type of work.
This particular section is going to be stretched out as well as the sports, and I can see the implications of this.
Yeah.
If we make any modifications, you really need to come back to the reading
Yeah.
of all the aspects.
Right, I think a lot of this does come from state statute and other policies that have basically moved forward through the years. So I think this has been around a while, I guess is what I'm saying. That. Right.
So you said we statutory language.
There is some statutory language in our policy, absolutely, in terms of how we define a domicile, yeah, absolutely, and a minor. correct me if I'm wrong, Jonathan. on
Well,
that.
one thing I do want to talk about with Sarah in subsection A under number 2 is that does seem to conflict with the state attendance manual. The state attendance manual goes into the student's residence, however temporary, can actually serve as their residence for public school purposes. Comes up a lot with undocumented students, things like that, so I'll bring that up to Sarah.
So you're saying this is not consistent with the statute?
Well, the state manual, the state attendance manual is different from statute, but we still use that in some of our legal inquiries when we get them from school, so I just want to make sure it's all.
So we don't use where the student lives, doesn't this say we use where the student lives?
So I'm just reading this, it's been a long time since I've looked at JCA, but the residence of the student defines the domicile of the student's
So the
parents.
residence of the student is a mentally minor, I thought you were saying.
Is that the one that you're in question, John?
And then you said number 2 under.
Under the big subsection 2A, sorry, yeah. Except as set forth below, the residence of the student is defined as the domicile, and it's a huge deal, so I just want to make sure she's, we're streamlined on that. And I'll bring that up with her. I mean, we advise on that a lot.
Yeah.
This is your